I'm Phoebe, I'm 25, this is Josh, he's 26, and he's just heard a gnarly story about a hammer and a shark. We're in Airlie Beach and we're finally installing our second-hand wind gen that was gifted to us by our mate Greg. We're so excited for this upgrade so that we can completely harness the elements before we continue our journey north and explore the underwater jungle that is the Great Barrier Reef. So if you've been getting sick of the lifestyle videos and want more of the boat upgrade stuff, you'll love this one. So, why are we installing a wind gen? When we bought our boat in 2020, our generation system consisted of two 80-watt solar panels, which was barely enough to keep the fridge running off the old lead-acid batteries. In the 2.5 years we were living aboard, getting ready to go cruising and refitting the boat, we completed many upgrades, one of which was a full refit on our electrical system, and we'll go into this in detail in another video. One of the biggest challenges we faced was designing systems from what we thought was going to be practical without actually having experience living and sailing yet. Much of our knowledge and understanding came from YouTube videos, books, and conversations with experienced folk. There are generally two sides to the wind gen community, for and strongly against. Without having ever owned a boat with a wind gen, we thought the best way to choose our stance was to try it ourselves. We have 695 watts of solar that does a great job at keeping our 300 amp hour lithium house battery bank charged when the sun's shining. But to our surprise, sailing up the east coast of Queensland this season has provided many back-to-back days without sun. Consistent cloudy days has meant operating in the lower half of our lithium's tolerance. And this isn't an issue, but considering that lithium has an 80% usable capacity, operating close to the potential harmful state of deep discharge is never ideal. Most lithium batteries have a lifespan of 2,000 to 3,000 cycles, so it's in our best interest to do everything we can to get the most out of our investment. Other alternative methods of charging on board is through our motor's alternator or a 240 volt generator. Both of these need to go through chargers that are lithium compatible. One thing we haven't been short of this season is wind, and more often than not, we've found ourselves hiding in the lee of an island seeking shelter from 20 knots of sou'easterly trades. Amidst these dreary days, we've spoken often of our uninstalled wind gen taking up space and not providing power in the bow. With the addition of the wind gen, we'll bump our total renewable generation potential up to 1 kilowatt of renewable energy sources, 70% of that being solar and 30% being wind, not putting all our eggs into one basket. To be able to harness the insurmountable and abundant energy gifted to us by the Earth is a privilege and something that we feel is our responsibility to aid the recovery of the planet. The less dinosaurs we're burning, the greater our future will be, so we are really excited. Bye, Sonia!
Bye, Sonia! Oh, there's a little rough spot there.
Did you do that, Sonia?
Fix that up while we're gone, okay?
Josh is going to go to the chandlery, get some stuff for the boat.
Gonna also go and talk to a gentleman named Scurvy Dog. We met Scurvy at the pub when we were having a farewell with all the other boys. And,
at the 2-for-1 pizzas.
Yeah. And we're gonna, I'm hopefully gonna crew on his boat during race week, so need to go and talk to him about that.
Get the details about it, and they're racing for 7 days, but I'm not sure if Josh will do the full 7 days. That's when my girlfriend's here, so.
His boat's called Awesome.
It won the race from Cape Town to...
I don't remember where.
Rio? I think it was Cape Town to Rio.
The reason I'm so keen to crew on a boat, apart from fun, is so I can learn how to optimize my sailing and get better.
Oh, good. Here we go.
We've got a pretty special friend here. First one to ask for a photo together, so well done. Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Where's Sonia?
Yeah,
the one day we leave her at home.
The real ones know about Sonia. Yeah.
When people say to us like, oh, sailing must be so luxurious, like you live such a luxurious lifestyle. $7 a load to wash your clothes. We've got to do 2 loads. This is what, we haven't done washing since Mackay.
Yeah.
So this is 3 weeks worth of washing into 2 loads for $14. So the next time you go to wash your bed sheets, because you want them to be nice and clean and fresh, think about the fact that you have to $7 for them.
To win generator or not to win generator? Well, this really is the perfect segue into that unavoidable conversation, because at the same time we were beginning to install ours, Dave and Jerry on the Lagoon 38 Fidelio were removing theirs. I offered to assist and they kindly donated any parts off their old unit and mounting pole that would help us with our install. Bloody score, as all we were missing was the mounting system. The wind generator we're installing on the boat was gifted or exchanged to me for some electrical work that I did for a friend. It fits in just fine aboard Innerbloom, being a brand new second-hand unit. This Ampere 300 was top of the line 10 years ago and it's never been installed. A friend purchased this unit to use on their off-grid property. They went a different route when the voltage didn't match their existing system, so it sat in the shed for 10 years. Then it sat in our storage unit for 3 years, and now it's being reborn in this episode. The mounting shaft on the generator is 39mm outside diameter, OD, and our scavenge pole has an internal diameter, ID, of 43mm, so I'm using a 4mm sheet of rubber cut to size as an internal sleeve or gasket. The generator mounts by 3 8mm bolts screwed into the internal threads in the shaft. We need to drill these out on the stainless steel pole. Mate, drilling stainless is easier on you and your gear when using lots of cutting compound, regularly cooling the drill bit, gradually stepping up the drill bit sizes and drilling at the right RPM. You'll know when the RPM is right when the swarf comes off your workpiece in one long continuous segment. A 3-phase alternating current known as AC is produced in the head of the generator unit. The AC current is transmitted to the controller, which rectifies it into a direct current or DC. The controller also has a voltmeter, ammeter, dump load resistors and shorting switch. The controller only supports the charge algorithm of a lead acid battery. So to charge our lithium house bank, we're going to have to first charge our start battery, then use a DC to DC charger as an interface. We've got to inspect the area below the deck where we're mounting the pole. It's important to be sure the deck has enough structural integrity to support our load. Ideally having stringers close, but not directly below, as we need to nut and bolt the foot of the bracket to the deck. This big red rubber gasket will suppress any bearing noise travelling down the pole and straight into our aft cabin. Something I don't think you can have enough of when you're installing a wind generator is rubber gaskets. I'm going to cut out a circle from the shape of a washer and then put that under the flat washer on top of the deck where the mount goes. So I just cut that out with scissors, and that's the only part that doesn't have something, so I'm nervous that it would go from deck fitting through the bolt holes onto the hull like that. So if I can isolate the steel of the bolts from the hull, then anything should be absorbed through that. Dave the plumber is a professional with keeping water in or out, so I got him to show me how he would seal the base of the mount. One continuous bead should do the trick. Nylock or double nut the bolts below deck so they don't vibrate loose, and seal the deal with more Sika. Clean up your sealants with warm water and detergent. I'm tapping a thread into the deck here to secure our deck gland for the cables to pass through. A good trick for any novice that's drilling or tapping is to practice on a sacrificial scrap piece. This allows you to be sure by checking thread types and sizing before starting on the final workpiece. Not all factory components are going to be the right fit, and some will require modification. I'm drilling the base plate out to accommodate for the countersunk head of the bolt that I'm screwing into the tap thread on the deck. This particular gland wouldn't be able to compress enough to seal around the cable if the head of the bolts were protruding. Having untwisted my cables and cut them to the correct length, they are ready to be installed into the drilled deck gland bush. I drilled out the bush 1mm smaller than the diameter of the cable. This makes it a tight, fit, but will ensure a good seal. It also makes the outer insulation of the cable bunch up as it's being fed through, so a bit of silicone lube that is compatible with the material of the rubber can help in the process a lot. Usually about this time, I'm getting so close and thinking, yes, I've done it! But don't forget the collar that compresses the gland bush to stop any water coming through. It's come to the time for me to fit off the cable, so I'm going to show you how I would usually fit one off. Just cutting away the end to try and get back to some fresh copper. If you're not using tinned copper, you want to make sure that there's no corrosion on your copper, which will often look like blackening of the cores of the strands of the actual conductor. The cable I'm using is a flexible conductor. That means generally that it has more cores, but they're of a smaller surface area. So it means that it has more cores, but they're of a smaller diameter, which actually equates to more surface area. So it means that they've got a greater current carrying capacity. It's important for moving current. This is the little fitting, the plug that's going to be fit off. A good habit is to thread everything that needs to be threaded onto the cable on, so you don't fit it off without any of that stuff on there. Good way to do that is by putting the plug together first and then installing the cable onto it and disconnecting every component of the plug, so you ensure that they're all in the right order, because right now there's 4 components in this lead, and if they're not in the right order, then you're going to have to redo it all, which is a pain in the ass. So to cut this insulation off, it's the outer insulation, what would often be referred to as the sheath on other cables. I use a Stanley blade and I just score the insulation, and then I'll go through, and so when it's scored, it'll be looking like that. And as you bend that in different places, it'll just start to tear the insulation, and that just ensures that you're not going to be accidentally cutting through the primary insulation around the conductor and exposing copper. So by the time it gets to that point, you can really just use your pliers to pull that off, and you've exposed your conductors. From here, I'll just get my pliers, always checking the depth of the terminals to dictate how much copper you need to expose. You can also use your Stanley blade to score this insulation as well, and then take it off like that. You can twist them by hand. If you have a lot more exposed of the primary insulation, twist it in the opposite direction, so that when you're twisting it, it's actually creating a greater twist. Gland, and then the fixing that goes over the gland. So that should be more than watertight now. Now, I can't say this was a selling point on the generator because I did receive it for free, but I am extremely impressed by the blades and design of this unit. The GRP blades are pitch controlled by the unit, which allows it to maintain smooth control of the turbine speed in high winds. Hold on, Josh, you're getting ahead of yourself. You need to fit off the cable into the controller before you put the blades on, so it can be braked and it won't start generating and short out. Yet another great design of a well thought out and designed marine spec wind generator. So this is the only thing that I'm not so stoked about, is how close we are to the stay, but we'll be able to take it back a little bit. But that should be all right. I mean, 40, 50 mil.
Wow! Let's have a look at the lines. Definitely looks different.
Bro, I reckon that looks bad.
Yeah.
That's so sick. Oh yeah, now it turns. That's what I wanted. Yeah, I reckon that's good.
Well done.
All that hard work paid
Well
off.
done, you clever man.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Next up, I'm just going to be doing my connection from the control unit to our start battery, because this is the lead acid battery that the wind generator is going to go through, and then I'm going to be using my DC to DC charger as an interface between the lead acid and the lithium house batteries, because this controller is only set up for charging lead acid batteries. It's a bit of old technology. So lo and behold, guess who had some 6mm cable squirreled away for a rainy day? Pretty much the perfect length. It's already got a fuse holder soldered into it. I will put a circuit breaker on it, but for now I'm just going to do the old fuse. We're using tinned copper, 6mm. It's an extremely short run. It's less than 2 meters. We'll have a circuit breaker eventually, but for now just a fuse on the outgoing from here, and that's to protect this individual cable. I've run these cables over to the battery now. Going to be putting the battery sense cable and the power cable in the same lug. So connecting it first at the generator control box, so that when you put it onto the battery, there won't be live cables hanging out anywhere. So everything's run in. Just make sure your cables are led in properly. they're not twisted around anything before they're fit off. Negative on first. Ideally there's no loads discharging the battery at the time that it's being disconnected, because that will cause your cables to draw an arc as you separate them, or as they just naturally get separated. We do our negative first because if you put the positive on first, then power can go along the positive cable through whatever you have at the end of it and then back down, and this will turn into a positive because it's not connected to the negative. So if that shorts out on something, then can be in a bit of trouble. I've left the fuses out of the battery sense and of the outgoing to the battery, and so I'm just going to leave that safe for now until I get a little bit more sort of structural support on that generator pole, and then I'll put the brake off it and let it run and just see how it charges it. There's probably around 10 to 15 knots of wind right now, so we would get a few amps. All our solar's still charging though, so yeah, I just kind of want to observe how it charges the battery. We've also in parallel got our windlass battery in the bow connected to this, so I want to make sure that the current's just not sort of circulating between those batteries, because once this is at a particular voltage, our DC to DC charger senses that and then we'll close contact so our lithium can charge and draw down off this. So just have to see how all that actually works. Running the wind generator.
Yeah.
Come check it out.
Oh.
It's not loud at all, eh?
It sounds like when someone goes out the emergency exit at a shopping centre and you can hear the alarms going off in the distance, but you're like, what is that? That's what it sounds like. Or little baby magpies.
I need to see whether it's working down here now and charging. Charge is green. Seems to be working. Minimal amps. There you go. Oh, that's so cool!
Picking up now. How many amps?
We're getting 1 amp.
Oh.
Every amp counts.
How many amp?
How many amp? Damn, that is not safe for work, that shot.
How many amp?
Oh my god.
Wow.
Cool. Just fabricated this little bit of right angle that's going to bolt up to the bimini structure, and then a aluminium bit of tube is going to come down as lateral support, so from side to side of the boat. Hope that means lateral. There you go. If it doesn't, yep, it means lateral, and they are the loads we're bracing against, whilst also providing stability. Ideal bracing connects at 2/3 of the pole height and maintains between 40 and 50 degrees to floor level. Unfortunately, we can't achieve this, so we are bracing to the bimini structure via a stainless steel equal angle bracket I've fabricated. The other is coming forward to a solid welded handrail, joining as close to a vertical stanchion as possible. Canopy fittings are fantastic for this application and can be found at most chandleries. That polished stainless fitting needs to come off this tube, I think. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I think this is aluminium tube. That's why we've got a bit of corrosion there due to the dissimilar metals. I'm just going to take the grub screw out of this and then do my best to separate it. Well, that's a good sign. The grub screw came out. I'm going to run into the chandlery because this one that I have is no good. No good, mate. That thing's stuffed. That's galvanic corrosion for you. The salt water wouldn't have helped. And that is my preference, to use that sort of mounting. The bracket's all drilled up. I'm going to fit it later on when we get back. We're just going to go have sundowners with some friends.
We should tell them who they are. We are connected with this couple, this other sailing couple. They're called the Greener Two, Lily and Hayden. They're in Airlie Beach at the same time as us, and we've been trying to kind of link up for a little while now. So we're a little bit late to the sundowners. I always feel like a passenger princess when we're in the tender.
I'm pretty pleased with myself. I've figured it out and I've got it together, and I think it's going to work just fine. And it looks pretty flash too.
He's so clever, he's so clever.
Nah, it's so nice getting something completed that you've been figuring out for a while and feeling a sense of success, apart from that I forgot a flat washer down there, but I don't know if it makes all that much difference.
Oh, you've got 2 in that one, in the bottom one, and only 1 on the top.
No, there needs to be 1 on that side.
Ah.
So if we've got 2 flat washers.
It's not that clever.
Great.
Yeah, great.
Anyway, yeah, this is it. And so that's going to give it all support down low, and then we'll get the
Wow. Excuse me. Is this Josh's time?
I had to tie it off because I was grinding. I reckon that'll just push against that, no dramas. It won't need that. Cool. Righto. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for watching, guys. Go, say
I hope
something.
you enjoyed the episode more than I did doing the work. Bye.